I really should have just turned around and left when I first saw those children's drawings on the walls. I mean, crayon suns, stick figures, all the usual kid doodles, right? Except, every single one had the eyes gouged clean off, scratched out with a nail or something even sharper. It was chilling. Here I am, standing in the middle of the north wing of Brookhaven Asylum. It's 90 minutes past sunset on Halloween night, and the only reason I'm still filming is because I promised you guys I'd see this place before they finally bulldoze it next month. So, happy Halloween, I guess. Let's just keep moving before the air gets any heavier, because honestly, it feels like it's pressing in on me already. The front doors, chained up tight naturally. But the basement storm hatch, well, that thing's rusted clean through. That's the classic urban explorer move, isn't it? The back way in. Brookhaven, if you don't know, officially shut down in 1923 after a string of patient deaths nobody could ever properly explain. 10 in a single night, all of them on October 31st. The newspapers back then called it the Black Halloween, and for good reason. The state sealed the records, boarded up every single window, and basically pretended the entire building didn't exist for a century. Locals whisper that the land's been sold at least 6 times, but every single buyer apparently backed out after their first walkthrough. You can still see the realtor's lockbox, dangling from a broken hinge like some kind of rotten tooth. I pry the hatch open, the metal groaning like a forgotten grave. I drop my camera inside first, letting the strap swing. Then I slide down the rusty ladder, descending into total, absolute dark. The smell hits me instantly, a suffocating wave. Mildew, thick and cloying, mixed with something else. Something sweet rotten, like overripe peaches left to ferment in the sun. My shoes crunch on old plaster, a sound that echoes too loudly in the silent void. I whisper, trying to keep my voice steady. We're in. I follow the faint beam of my flashlight, tracing a path down a long, eerily quiet hallway. My gut tells me to avoid the children's ward, but that's exactly where the drawings were reported, so of course, that's where I'm headed. The beam of light dances across the grimy tiles, revealing tiny handprints. Someone, some poor child, must have dipped their palm in paint and slapped it right onto the walls. The prints, they get smaller and smaller the farther I go, almost as if the kids themselves shrank, fading away as they walk down this desolate corridor. One room, completely devoid of furniture, still has these creepy metal cribs bolted to the floor. Imagine that. Bolted down. I pan my camera across a mural on the far wall. A Halloween pumpkin. But it's patched together from different colored paper, faded and peeling. And underneath it, scrawled in what looks like old dried red marker, are the words, "No escape tonight." The hairs on my arms stand up. Then, my mic picks it up. A faint giggle. It's barely there, a wisp of sound, but it's unmistakable. I freeze, my heart doing a hard thud against my ribs. Wind doesn't giggle. I ask out loud, my voice a little too shaky. "Anyone here?" The echo comes back, stretching out the word. "Here, here." But it's higher, almost like a child mimicking me, mocking me. My pulse hammers in my ears, a frantic drumbeat. I back out, slowly, carefully. And that's when I spot it, a leather-bound book, wedged behind a grimy, ancient radiator. It looks like it's been waiting there for a century. The cover of the book is cracked, the leather brittle with age. Pages are stuck together, fused by a century of damp, dust, and decay. I gently pry them apart, careful not to tear the fragile paper. The first readable line I find sends a shiver straight down my spine. It reads, 31st October 1923. They warn me not to proceed, but the experiment must conclude before dawn. The writer signs off as Dr. H. Albright, Chief Physician. A doctor, here, on that night. I flip through more pages, and the entries grow increasingly frantic, the handwriting more agitated. Patients agitated by moonlight, one reads. Another, hooded orderlies refusing night shift. Then, the most unsettling one yet. Whispers coming from the walls themselves. What kind of experiments were they running here? What kind of treatments involved hooded figures and whispers from the very structure of the building? Asylums like this one, they were often places of unimaginable cruelty, where patients were subjected to brutal treatments, lobotomies, electroshock therapy, sometimes even experimental surgeries, all under the guise of healing. These weren't hospitals. They were often places of torment, and this journal feels like a direct window into that dark past. Hey guys, quick pause here. If you're as creeped out as I am right now, seriously, tap that like button so YouTube knows to send some rescue algorithms my way. And if you're new here, hit subscribe if you want to see what happens when I turn the next page. Because honestly, I'm not sure I want to turn it. Okay, back to the journal. The final intact paragraph is dated Halloween night, 1923. It's short, to the point, and absolutely horrifying. Midnight ritual begins in the hydrotherapy chamber. Bring the child. My stomach drops like a stone. I didn't come here looking for some twisted story. I came to film peeling paint and decaying architecture. Instead, I'm holding what feels like a doctor's confession to something far, far worse than just malpractice. The journal's words burn in my mind as I track the faded signs toward the hydrotherapy wing. Every asylum, it seems, had one. Imagine these massive bathtubs, often with canvas covers that locked right around your neck, leaving just your head exposed. Cold water for hysteria, hot for melancholia. Sometimes they'd switch you back and forth, slowly, methodically, until your heart just gave out. It was a torture chamber disguised as treatment. The door to the hydrotherapy room is half off its hinges, hanging precariously. Inside, 6 of those stained porcelain tubs remain, lined up like silent, gaping mouths. The ceiling pipes above them drip in a slow, rhythmic pattern. Drip, drip, drip. It's the only sound, amplifying the silence between each drop. The journal page trembles slightly under the beam of my flashlight as I read the next entry. Subject 7 placed underwater at 12:03 a.m. Spirits manifest when breath escapes. I'm utterly alone in this vast, decaying room, yet the tub closest to me lets out a low, unsettling creak, like someone just sat down heavily on its lid. My breath catches in my throat. Then, the canvas strap, still attached to the tub, begins to tighten by itself, slowly, deliberately. The metal buckle clicks, a sharp, metallic sound in the oppressive quiet. I try to rationalize it, tell myself it's just the old leather contracting from the cold. But the buckle keeps cinching, tightening, until the leather groans under the strain. And then the dripping stops. The sudden silence is deafening, a pressure building in my ears, making my head throb. I whisper, my voice barely audible. I'm not Subject 7. The buckle releases with a sharp, violent snap that echoes through the room like a gunshot. I stumble backward, my heart racing, convinced I'm not alone. Then, I hear it. Footsteps. Overhead, running in circles, a frantic, rhythmic pounding. It sounds like a child's game, the pattern of Ring Around the Rosie. I mouth the rhyme to myself, my blood running cold as I realize every crash, every heavy footfall lands precisely on the word fall. The journal, which I'd clutched in my hand, suddenly flips open to a new page, though I swear I never even touched it. And there, in fresh, stark ink, are words that weren't there before. Visitor accepted the role. Play must finish. My own name is written below it. My name. I didn't write that. I slam the book shut, my hands shaking uncontrollably, but it's too late. The lights in the corridor outside, the few flickering bulbs that were still working, click off one by one, advancing toward me like a chilling countdown. My only exit is the stairwell, leading back to the main floor. I sprint, camera jerking wildly, scrambling for an escape. At the landing, in the dim, shifting shadows, I see it. A child-sized shape, clad in a faded hospital gown, standing absolutely still. Her hair hangs over her face, obscuring it, and her feet are bare on the cold concrete. Slowly, deliberately, she lifts her arm and points. She's pointing at the auditorium's double doors, which are closed, solid, yet, through them, organ music leaks out. London Bridge, the same haunting melody staff used to call patients to assembly, to their daily routines. I hear chairs scraping inside, hundreds of them. A chilling symphony of an unseen audience taking their seats. My legs move forward before my brain can even process the decision. It's that terrifying feeling of being on a ride you can't get off, a horrifying momentum carrying you forward against your will. The auditorium doors swing inward by themselves with a slow, agonizing creak, revealing a cavernous gloom. Rows and rows of broken benches stretch into the darkness. On the stage, a single antique operating light flickers erratically, casting long, dancing shadows, even though there's no power to the building. Beneath it, a wheelchair sits, old and ominous, its leather straps undone, waiting. The journal in my backpack begins to vibrate. A low, persistent hum, like a phone on silent. I pull it out and the pages flip, seemingly on their own, until they land on a crayon drawing. It's glued in. A stick figure drawing of me holding a camera, but with the eyes gouged out just like those first drawings I saw. And beneath it, ink bleeds across the paper, spelling out in a crude, childish script, "Get in the chair." I try to back away, but my knees buckle beneath me. Something heavy presses down on my shoulders, cold and wet, and that sickening smell of overripe peaches floods my senses again. I hit the floor, winded, disoriented. The wheelchair rolls forward, its wheels squeaking a high-pitched, rusty lament. I try to stand, to fight, but I can't. Every time I push up, the pressure on my shoulders doubles, pinning me down. The squeak stops right in front of me. I manage to gasp out, "I'm not your patient." The pressure lifts, abruptly, completely. For a single, terrifying heartbeat, I think I've won, that I've broken free. Then the organ note rises, a deafening crescendo, and the operating light blazes, blinding me. Every single bench in the auditorium folds down like dominoes, one after another, creating a thunderous, earth-shattering sound. Dust clouds explode into the air, choking me. I scramble up, desperate, and dash for the exit. But the hallway behind me has changed. There are no doors, just a solid brick wall where the entrance should have been. I'm trapped in a wing I've never seen, completely enclosed. The journal, which I swear I stuffed back into my bag, lies open on the dusty floor. A new entry writes itself right in front of the camera lens, ink appearing like frost on a cold window pane. Subject 7 escaped once. Won't happen twice. The brick wall behind me softens, becoming wet, crumbling plaster. Shapes begin to push through it. Faces, arms, like people buried alive inside, desperate to escape. One cold, clammy hand grabs my sleeve. I yank free, running deeper into the asylum's twisting corridors. Every turn leads to the same corridor, the same tiny handprints, now fresher, paint dripping wet. I realize the asylum is folding space, twisting reality, keeping me in a horrifying loop until I accept the role it has chosen for me. I stop running. My heartbeat is so loud it drowns out the distant organ music, the whispers, everything. I remember the children's mural. No escape tonight. Tonight. Not forever. That means it ends at sunrise. I check my watch, my hand shaking so violently I can barely read the time. 4:12 a.m. Less than 2 hours. I don't need to navigate this place. I just need to survive it. I step into the nearest room, slam the door shut, and press my back against it, gasping for air. Inside, it's a solitary confinement cell. Padded walls, thick and stained, and heavy leather cuffs bolted to the floor. The air in here smells metallic, like old blood. My breath fogs in front of me, even though it's not cold. I tell the room, my voice hoarse but firm, I'm not part of your story. The padding on the walls bubbles, as if something is breathing, shifting underneath. I focus on the journal, still lying out in the hall under the flickering bulb. It's the tether, the link. If I renounce it, if I break its hold, maybe the entire twisted play collapses. I open the door just enough to see the book, glowing faintly in the dim light. I speak loud, my voice echoing, shouting, "Dr. Albright, your experiment ends unfinished. Do you hear me? No subject, no data. Let me out, or stay trapped with nothing." The hallway groans, a deep, resonant sound like folding metal twisting in on itself. I step out, deliberately leaving the book on the floor, abandoning it. The lights, those few that remained, blow out one by one, moving away from me toward the far end of the corridor. Darkness swallows the journal, consuming it. For the first time since I entered, the entire building is silent. I walk backward, my eyes fixed on the oppressive blackness where the book disappeared, until I feel a rush of fresh, cold air. The storm hatch ladder appears under my foot, suddenly there. Dawn light, a faint, hopeful gray, leaks through the slats above. I climb, my backpack feeling lighter. The camera no longer shaking because I'm not filming anymore. I'm just surviving. The hatch bangs shut below me with a final, echoing clang as I reach the grass outside. The sun crests the trees, a brilliant pumpkin orange against the pre-dawn sky. The asylum stands quiet, its windows blank, watching me. I'm sitting in my car now, heater blasting, windows completely fogged up. I left that journal down there. Maybe it belongs to the bricks, to the ghosts that haunt this place. Brookhaven is scheduled for demolition next week, and part of me, a big part, wants to chain myself to the gates, to warn the crew, to tell them what's really buried inside those walls. But who would believe a YouTuber who apparently dropped all his evidence in a haunted basement? So, I'm telling you, all of you, if you ever hear kids' laughter in the background of any of my future videos, please tell me. Because I'm not sure my ears can trust daylight anymore. Comment below what you would have done. Would you have kept the book? Or would you have run like hell? Share this with a friend who swears they'd stay the whole night in a place like this. And if you're new here, hit subscribe for more explorations. Though maybe next time, I'll pick a carnival. Thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and happy Halloween.